to the Cardinal Sportscast. I'm your host, Connor Shea. Thanks, everybody, for joining us once again. It's been good to see our audience growing each week. So continue to like and share wherever you are getting your podcast from, and make sure you're sharing it with your friends. Once again, I am joined by my good friends. I have Dave Lackford and Ty Spalding. First, we'll start off with Dave. Dave, how are you?
Doing good, man. Getting busy today, and I expect that to continue over the weekend.
That's good. Busy's good. Ty, how about you? What do you know?
Not too much. A little draft last night was good for the sports fix. Mehki got drafted 11th. We'll get into that a little bit later.
Let's do that right now, actually. That's the big story of the day, obviously, and going into the weekend. So draft last night, Mehki Becton goes number 11 overall to the New York Jets. Third highest pick in Louisville history at number 11. Pretty sure that ties with Lenny Lyles at number 11. I think only ahead of that is Moby Okoye. He was like number 10. And then there was some guy at number 9 I've never heard of from the 60s or something like that.
Moby Okoye went 10th overall to the Houston Texans in 2007. So the highest draft pick since then. Going to the Jets, he was, I believe, the third offensive tackle taken. The kid from USC, and then there was a kid from Lexington that played at Alabama that went ahead of Mehki. Going to the Jets, Sam Darnold, obviously the quarterback there, probably needs some protection on the blind side. That's probably where Mehki will end up at the left tackle position. And Louisville's really been hitting hard on this with the recruiting standpoint. The number of first-round picks they've had since 2014. Obviously that year there was 3 picks with Calvin Pryor. Then you had Marcus Smith and Teddy also. So the Louisville staff's been hitting on that hard from a recruiting standpoint. But congrats to Mehki there. I think he went about where he was projected early on. I don't know how much the drug test hurt him. I saw him as high as probably 4 or 5, but 11 is definitely a good spot to be taken, all things considered.
Yeah, I think most ranges had him between about 6 and 15. I don't know if the drug thing really had anything to do with that. Just A, we don't know what that is. B, it was kind of a free-for-all. There was 4 offensive tackles or offensive linemen coming into the first round, really, that were probably going to get drafted. I don't think really anyone had a great idea of how those 4 were going to shake up among the teams that they were going to. So, yeah, like you said, I think it's a good fit at the Jets just because it seemed like they were either going to go with a lineman or a receiver. I know that they really would like to have some talent outside, but if you're going to spread the ball around, you need to get protection for Donald first. So I think it's a good pick on their end. Dave, I know that you know a whole lot more about the NFL than we probably do, just with our own experience being in Louisville and in a non-pro market. So what's your take on this?
Well, everybody, I saw all of the picks that I saw in the mocks had him going 11 to the Jets. Few people had him going to the Giants, who took Andrew Thomas, which I thought was kind of, unexpected. But I think Andrew's a good player, and I like Mehki better. I like Wills better than Thomas as well. But that's Dave Gettleman. He's a football guy. So who is anyone else to argue with what he does? Daniel Jones. He really set the world on fire as a rookie last year down there in New York, up there in New York. So I don't know, but yeah, Mehki is a big dude who can move. A lot of the knocks on him were, before the draft, you see a lot of smoke screens coming out, or maybe they're not smoke screens, but you see a lot of people talking trash. They were saying, this guy loves food more than he loves football, which I don't know, maybe he does. I mean, it's all right.
Where did that come from? Is that just, like you said, is that just a smoke screen? Because it seems like every draft, something crazy like that gets thrown out. I mean, he likes cooking, look,
the dude likes cooking. He's big. He's a big 370-pound dude. So what you see in the recruiting ranks now is, you see these 6'6" kids that are 265, 280 pounds, and it's easier to put weight on a person than take weight off a person. And I think that the consensus was, or not the consensus, but the conventional wisdom is, big guys don't like to run. They don't like to work out. They don't like to move because they're carrying a lot of weight, and it takes a lot of energy to do that. So you want a kid that, is smaller, that can bulk up because they're going to be more athletic than the big guys. But Mehki, he seems to be the outlier there where he's just a freak. He's just a big grizzly bear running around killing people. So I think that's where that comes from. It's because and you know, the strength and conditioning coach, there was some. It looked like he took a shot at him, you know,
Right.
in the draft, where he's like, you know, thanks, coach, and put coach in quotation marks because he's the strength and conditioning coach.
And then Mike tweeted back and said self-made, as maybe hinting that Mehki did a lot of this really without the strength and conditioning program, which, I mean, when you're 6'7", 370, you know, I don't know how much of that you really need. But, yeah.
So where's that coming from?
Mehki responded, numbers don't lie, and he's going to get those numbers. There's going to be 7 figures worth of those numbers. So
the backstory that I understand is that when Satterfield and company arrived on campus, Mehki was sitting around 390 or something like that, and now he's going to draft at about 365. Is it just that he's kind of, you know, had a little bit of friction with the strength and conditioning coach because he had to drop 30 pounds in 1 year, or where's that coming from?
I say anytime you're 390 and somebody's forcing you to drop weight, there's going to be some friction. You know what I mean?
I think Mike.
I mean, if you dig up some dirt, here's what it is. Let's without saying anything like we know what's going on inside of the training facility. Here's what you get. You get a report coming out that says this kid loves food more than he loves football, right? And then during the draft, you see some smoke between him and the conditioning coach, right? So people leak information. You know what I mean? I'm not saying any information was leaked, but there's a rumor out there that gets to a reporter who says this kid loves food more than football, and then he's beefing with the conditioning coach on Twitter with the putting the quotes around coach, which is pretty obvious to the discerning eye. So, you know what I mean? Maybe, and then you got the failed drug test that came out too. But none of that mattered, you know, because a lot of those mock drafts had him going 11th to the Jets, right? And that's where he went. So regardless, if he likes food, he's going to be able to afford a lot more of it because he's getting that 11th slot money, and he's looking at 7 figures, man. So you got paid.
Yeah. So speaking of the draft, obviously, Dave, you're the only one that comes from a professional sports town. You actually liked the Eagles pick over Justin Jefferson. Are you still going with that, or let's get that on record?
I mean, here's what it is, right? Justin Jefferson had 54 catches for 854 yards and 6 touchdowns the season before last, right? Then you get this new coordinator who miraculously sees the production of the offense skyrocket, right? Joe Burrow turns into Tom freaking Brady and throws 90,000 touchdown passes, 7 touchdown passes in the semifinals against freaking Oklahoma in the first half, right? 400 some yards, and then Jefferson's production doubles. He has 111 catches. That's double the amount of catches he caught the year before. His yardage went up to 1,545 yards. That's almost double his yardage total. And he tripled his touchdown catches with 18. That type of production is unheard of. So when you look at it, you think to yourself, all right, is it because this player is so good, or is it the system that he was in college, and now that coach is in the NFL? Where do you go, the Vikings? Did that coach go to the Vikings? Because if he did, good pick by the Vikings.
No.
I would rather have KJ Hamler from Penn State than Jalen Reagor. Honestly, I wanted the Chason kid who got picked right before the Eagles by the Jaguars, who had a good draft, who I tweeted out that the Jaguars are going to do something stupid at 9, and then they took C.J. Henderson, who I actually thought was the second best corner in the draft. So, you know, good pick by them. However, they just lost their best pass rusher, and then in 2 consecutive years, they lose 2 of the top corners in the league. So they kind of just replaced what they had. So, you know, they might be breaking even with unproven players rather than the good ones they let go. But, I mean, I'm not on the record saying I like Jalen Reagor better than I like Justin Jefferson. I just would rather the Eagles not drafted either one of them, to be honest. Howie Roseman has a terrible history with first-round draft picks, man.
Yeah, the passing on DK Metcalf probably wasn't the brightest idea.
Hey, he took the freaking kid from Stanford.
Or Whiteside.
Yeah, stop taking kids from stop taking receivers from the Big 12 and from the Pac 12. Nobody out there plays defense. You know what I mean? I'm good with that. You know, but it's the same thing with Jordan Jefferson. You know what I mean? Not Jordan Jefferson. Justin Jefferson. He played slot in this explosive offense. You know, you got a 6'2" outlier playing in the slot, and if you watch the draft highlights of him, a lot of his stuff is him just running up the seam. You know, as a 6'2" receiver, and it's not like he's a precise route runner. He didn't look like Jerry Jeudy. He didn't look like Rondale Moore out there. You didn't see him looking like explosive in and out of cuts, sinking his hits, you know, with the nasty stutter step. You know, he's getting free releases in the slot because people are playing off him because they don't really got anybody that can cover him like that. So I don't know, man.
Well, before Dave gets too fired up, I do want to talk about the biggest story of the night, probably, which was Jordan Love going to the Packers as the backup there for Aaron Rodgers. So what did you all think about that?
The funny thing about that is Aaron Rodgers went on the Pat McAfee podcast or the Pat McAfee show earlier in the day and actually went on the record and was like, we haven't taken a offensive skill player in the first round in the last 15 years, so it'd be kind of cool if we did that. And instead of drafting someone to help him to throw the ball to or hand it off to, they took someone that he's going to be training per se. So I don't know how happy Aaron Rodgers was. I know my Packers friends that I am friends with, they were pretty upset over it. You know, if you're Aaron Rodgers, I mean, you lose Jordy Nelson, obviously, the year before that. You know, it seems like the receivers outside of Devontae Adams are pretty much just, you know, hit and miss who might step up. The running backs are by committee. I'm sure Rodgers would have liked to see them get somebody to help him out on the offensive end. Instead, they got someone that's probably 3 to 4 years away from seeing the field.
That's fine. I mean, Aaron Rodgers is 38, so
36, I believe, right?
No, I thought he was 38. Either way,
Aaron Rodgers is an asshole. I'm just going to say it, okay? He is not going to be friendly to Love, who just showed up there. He doesn't even like his own family. Have you seen his brother that was on The Bachelor? He played for Vanderbilt. He doesn't even talk to him. So why do you – it's just going to be Lamar and Joe Flacco all over again where they don't even talk to one another. And then you have the vet that just looks bad at the end of the day. But at least Aaron Rodgers is a little more elite than Joe Flacco. So I think it'll be a longer time till we see Jordan Love on the field. But still, I'm from a team's perspective where you're trying to make relationships out of it, it's not going to go well. They're talking about how, you know, Aaron Rodgers is going to groom him. Like, that's not going to happen. He's not that kind of guy. And if anything, he feels threatened by it. And like you said, he went on the record today just pissed off about it because instead of getting a skilled player like they actually needed, they went after his successor, who's not even going to be on the field for the next couple of years. I mean, why not wait to actually make that decision?
I mean, all right, first of all, Jordan Love is not as good as Lamar Jackson. Aaron Rodgers is
no. That's not what I'm saying either.
Terrible comparison.
I'm saying the relationship between them.
36, not 38. But look, here's what it is. You're 36-year-old quarterback. You're one of the best that ever did it. If you're secure in yourself, you're not worried about this young buck coming through, okay? And Aaron Rodgers probably has a future in coaching. So, I don't know, man. You call him an asshole. I mean, that's brazen of you. I don't know Aaron Rodgers. You know, I'm not a hot take guy like you are. You know what I mean?
Dave just said he's not a hot take guy. Can we just –
hot take guy. Name one hot take I've ever made. Go. Name one. On the record. Not when we and you were talking, just in general. But on the record, what hot take have I
I'll take that badge and wear it proudly.
No. I want Ty. Ty made an accusation. Now I want him to give a concrete example of one hot take I've ever said. Go ahead, Ty. Are you on your way to the golf course right now? If you, he's got a Greg Norman shirt on and a Titleist hat.
Jay Scrub,
real quick.
Man on earth. Go ahead, give it to me.
Scrub getting drafted before Wara.
That's not a hot take, bro. That's like a lukewarm take. That's like a bet. You know what I mean? I should have got numbers on that bet. Did we ever bet on that? We didn't. Do you want to bet on that now? I get 2 to 1 on that because everything I see is Jordan Orr. Going. So if you want to give me 2 to 1 odds on it, I'll take it. What's up? What's up, man? You got all that golf money. You can throw 100 down. Don't be Mark Ennis though. Once I win the bet and never pay me, don't welch on it.
We'll hold off on that bet for now.
Boo.
Well, let me redirect this. So the other big story of the night was Mehki Becton's father. Anybody else see Papa Becton just stand up? Like they cut to Mehki Becton's family, and the person that's standing in the middle is Papa Becton. So everyone's thinking there's some old man who looks about the same size as Mehki Becton. I mean, everyone was saying it might be a dual package where you get Mehki Becton and you get Papa Becton.
Yeah, I mean, the people outside of Louisville, I don't think knew just how big he was, but obviously Louisville fans are familiar with the Becton family. Every home game that I went to, they seemed to be there, and so obviously we knew just how big his father was.
They're a large family. We'll just
yeah, I think some teams maybe were interested in kind of putting them as a package deal, but.
What else?
Where are your seats, Ty? Because you've got your ensemble right now, and if you're not watching the video and you're listening to this at home, Ty either just stepped off the golf course or as soon as we're done recording this, he's headed to it. Probably going to Valhalla. So I want to know: do you have like a box? Do you have like people feeding you grape and 30-year-old brandy, or are you like out in the heat?
No, we've had the same seats for many years. 35-yard line behind Louisville's sideline, about 20 rows up. Nothing.
So let me tell y'all a story about this. So me, Ty, and Dave, we were at a coach's event not too long ago, and so we're hanging around and we're talking about where do you like to be during the middle of a game. And I think Dave was like, I like being down on the field, being close to the action. That way you can really see how fast these guys are moving. And I was like, I like being up in the nosebleeds so I can get a little bit of the all 22. And Ty over here is like, I don't like any of that. I don't like being in the press box. I like being, kind of down in my seats near the field. That way it can get loud on third downs.
Yeah, I mean,
big old homer, Ty.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm a pretty big homer. I mean, every section has that dude that stands up on third down and looks around and is like, why is no one standing up? Because Louisville fans are notorious for just kind of sitting there, and so that's not me. I'm just kind of saying that from experience.
Sure?
That's not me.
I got the foam finger.
That's not me, but that's just from experience. That's kind of what I've learned.
So you want to be down there in that level so you can experience the judgmental third down noise guy. Is that what you're telling us? Like that's your twist? You want to be down there so people telling you to stand up, get loud? Do you paint your face?
I have not put any paint on my face.
You're gonna do it. If we have a season this year, man, and we're allowed to go back to the stadium, you're going to paint your face, dude. We're going to get you some feathers, everything, bro. We're going to give you the whole hookup, man. Because, Chronicle has the bird head. We got to do something else. We got to get, like, the feather back or something.
I'll go on the record. So what's Louisville's – so if there's a schedule, what's
there is a schedule. If there are games.
If there's a game, what's their schedule? Someone read it off to me.
NC State on the Thursday before Labor Day.
Okay, so they've got NC State, Clemson, Murray State, Western. If Louisville starts off 6-1, I will paint my face to a game.
Now, what game is that? That Virginia Tech on Halloween?
Time out. Worst homer ever. Where is this conditional love? If they start out 6-1, no. They start out 1-6. I want you out there with the feathers in the paint.
No. All right. So here's the schedule
for Florida State.
Here's the schedule. NC State at home. Assuming if they win that, then they go to Clemson. That's a loss. So they're 1-1. If they reel off wins over Murray, Western, Syracuse, Boston College, and Florida State, I will paint my face on Halloween against Virginia Tech at home.
Okay, there you go. And your chest too. You gotta take that shark off, man.
All right, this is getting out of hand. Let's
eyes on your nipples and a beak on your belly button, bro.
Let's bring this back down to earth a little bit. So, Dave, speaking of earth, what's been going on the recruiting ground?
Well, today, big commitment from Brayln Oliver, formerly the #1 player in South Carolina. He moved to Cornelius. He goes to Hoff. I have been, for some reason, people on the board are like, oh, this came out of nowhere. Dave, you haven't talked about this kid in a while. I'm like, yo, on March 17th, I put in a pick for him to Louisville. I was the first one to do it, pat myself on the back. Everybody else followed suit, 2 people, you know what I mean? And I don't know what you're talking about. I've been telling y'all Braylon Oliver was one of the top options. I said it was Jansen Dunn, who went to Ohio State. It was Braylon Oliver, and then you got Jordan Lovett from North Hardin, right? So they got one, they missed one, and Jordan Lovett's still on the board. So I don't know what y'all talk about, but I told you Braylon Oliver was in a good spot with Louisville. Here's the backstory on it. So he was actually about to commit about 3 weeks ago, right? And other schools got wind of that. I don't know from who, but they got wind that he was about to commit. Maybe his family said something. Maybe he said something to these other coaches. But then he got a rash of offers, man. He got like Florida, Oklahoma, Florida State. He blew up, right? And then, man, my phone is killing me. He got all these offers and took off. So he delayed the commitment. But I guess things cooled off for a minute. And he decided that, Louisville was where he wanted to be. And he committed last night and didn't tell anybody. So normally, I get wind of these things, but they wanted to keep that quiet because apparently, with the Derek Edwards thing, who was supposed to commit, told me he was going to commit. And I even have a story written up in the drafts right now. I think word got out on that. He kind of hit the brakes, although I still think Louisville is in a good spot for Derek Edwards, 3-star cornerback out of Miami Palmetto.
Is that kind of the same deal where, it was rumored that he was going to commit and then people got wind of it and then offers start coming in and then he says, maybe I should hold off on this or what?
He didn't really get any offers. It was like he already had offers. And I think that teams that weren't really communicating with him like that started reaching out like, whoa, what are you doing? Don't commit right now. It's kind of like the Jansen Dunn situation. So Jansen Dunn, he's a 3-star now. He'll end up a 4-star. He's a safety / corner. He's a DB out of South Warren and Bowling Green, Kentucky. He's originally from Georgia. He was going to commit to Oklahoma, and he even told Oklahoma he was going to commit. Head coach Lincoln Riley tweeted out the eyeball emojis, which is his code for we got a commitment, and it was Jansen Dunn. And I talked to Jansen's father, Mitchell, and Mitchell was like, yeah, it's going to be a commitment. Because I texted Mitchell, and I said, what is this, a top 2, top 3? He's like, nah, it's a commitment. Should be within an hour. I'll let you know right before he does it so you can put your pick in, right? And then I'm like, who you talking to, man? So I just hit somebody else up, and they were like, yo, he's going to Oklahoma, right? And also I had a bunch of people hit me up saying he's going to Oklahoma. So I put in my pick for Oklahoma, and then things went sideways because Ohio State, who he had tried to commit to, per my sources, said he tried to commit to Ohio State twice before that, and they were kind of like, nah, let's, come on a visit. Don't, no need to rush. Let's make sure everything is in order. We want you to get down here and see the campus, which really meant we got some other dudes that were trying to get to commit before you. But right. I guess when it came down to the come down and Dunn put the pressure cooker on Ohio State and said, yo, look, forget you then. I'm going to Oklahoma. He won in the end, and Ohio State turned around and said, okay, fine, you're a take. Don't commit to Oklahoma. So he didn't commit that night, and he committed the next day to Ohio State. And good for him, you know what I mean? Because if you look at the draft, they just put 2 DBs in the first round. Damon Arnett came out of nowhere. Nobody had him in the first round, but boom. So if you're a DB and you want to get drafted in the first round, it's Clemson, LSU, Alabama, or Ohio State, and he went to one of those 4. You know what I mean? So that's good for him. I think he's a really good safety product. I don't see him hitting the portal or anything like that. I think he'll go out there, compete, earn his spot. But we're talking about Braylon Oliver, who I really like. He's a big kid. A lot of people are asking me, will he be moved down to the guard position, which is kind of like a rover outside linebacker who's kind of like a tweener between a safety and a linebacker, but the kid will be athletic and can cover. So he's used as kind of like a third safety / third linebacker in Louisville's defense. He won't be playing that position, though. I've got confirmation on that. He's a straight-up safety. Because he's 6'2", 190, he's probably going to get here and turn, up to 205. So he'll probably be a strong safety like that. But he's a good player, good ball skills. And
so let me ask you that. It seems like Louisville's targeting quite a few safeties. What are they trying to fill right now?
Well, they're only going to have 3 safeties on the roster in 2021. It'll be Jack Fago, Josh Minkins, and Lovey Jenkins. So they need to take like 2 or 3. So they'll take 2 for sure this class, and then maybe even 3. So they've been offering a lot of safeties. Also, you got to understand that the way Louisville's defense works is a lot of the safeties they're offering are also being recruited to play either the card or straight up outside linebacker. So that's where they're at with that.
Yeah. Yeah, you had Kane Pass graduate this year, and then Russ Yeast will be gone, and Isaiah Hayes will be gone as well. So I think they're probably selling some playing time there early on, and Lovey Jenkins and Josh Minkins will be freshmen this year. So some early playing time probably is a little bit of why the safety prospectors pulled the trigger with Louisville. So yeah, that's a good point there by Dave.
Yep. Makes sense to me. So, Dave, what else are you hearing? Anything else?
I expect a commitment tomorrow. I can't really get into it that deep because I've been told not to really put it out there like that. Although if you are a premium subscriber, you can check on the premium recruiting board that for football, and Todd posts all the basketball recruiting on there. So if you haven't signed up, sign up. It's free until August 1st. You need to get in on that while the getting is good. And if you want to find out, I put actually 2 picks in the day. One for someone who's going to play outside linebacker. He's from the West Coast. And I put one in for a kid that's going to commit tomorrow. And I'm not giving you any other info for free because free don't feed my family.
All right, y'all heard the man. If you want to know what that's about, hop on the premium recruiting board. Again, we do have a promo going on right now. We'll plug that again at the end of the show. So let's kind of transition over into basketball. Things have actually been kind of noisy lately, which has been a good thing considering there's nothing else going on. So Ty, the other day, I don't know what do you want to get to first? I know that the NCAA has made a couple announcements. There was some big transfer news. What do you want to talk about first?
Yeah, we'll start with the Matt Harms decision. He went to BYU over Kentucky. That kind of was a shock to not only the BBN but probably around the country. And Matt Harms actually put out a quote saying, I'm 23 years old. Nike shoes don't mean a whole lot to me. So Kentucky's back into the market for a big man, and their market might have just gotten bigger as the word came out yesterday that the NCAA might actually push up the one-time transfer rule to this year. So that would open up a ton of more options for not only Kentucky but for Louisville as well. And you probably will see the transfer portal continue to grow if this rule does pass, because if you're –
Can you explain a little bit of that to me? Because I'm not fully understanding how this new transfer rule may work. Is it for the 2020 class or 2021?
Yeah, so the current transfer rule is unless you get a waiver by the NCAA, you have to sit out a year. If this new rule, one-time transfer, goes into effect, anybody that transfers for the first time will be immediately eligible. So not just a graduate transfer, any transfer. So say if a kid's a sophomore, for a team, for a school, he can say, I'm transferring. He can a week later commit to another school and be immediately eligible. So it's not going to be free agency, but in a way, I would say things are going to get dicey. How many schools are going to be kind of recruiting people, on other rosters. I don't know how much of that will go on, but I would say if you're a kid and you're thinking about leaving, if this does, get passed, that decision becomes a lot easier if you're immediately eligible.
So what kind of kid do you think really takes advantage of this? Is this maybe somebody heading into their senior season and, maybe next year they would be a grad transfer and it's just kind of getting a year ahead of that? Or is this maybe some underclassmen that had a good first year and maybe coming out of high school were trying to move up a little bit and didn't get the offers that they were wanting to, but now here's their chance?
Yeah. I mean, I think you could see, someone that didn't redshirt a year, that's going to be just a fourth-year senior that, that wants, on their last season to play, under the lights, play in front of more audience, going from mid-major to Power 5. Because usually the graduate transfer you see is a redshirt junior That way they've been there 4 years. They already got their degree, so they would be a graduate transfer. So someone like that. And then also, the Jacob Topping kid that Kentucky got, someone that's at a mid-major school and thinks they can, get interest from bigger schools may weigh their options as well. So that's something that Kentucky may get bailed out with, to be honest. They really need someone in the front court more than Louisville does. I think the tallest guy they have on their roster right now is like 6'9" or something.
Yeah, I saw somewhere where it said Kentucky's entire roster right now is between the height of 6'6" and 6'9",
Yeah.
which just seems like horrible roster management.
Yeah, I mean they really don't have a 5 at all.
Why is that horrible roster management?
Just like Ty just said, they don't have anybody over 6'9", so they don't have anybody in the front court to play.
Can they shoot?
They're getting 2 shooting guards, but they don't have a true point guard coming in.
I mean, I think Connor's point is you can't roll out there with 4 point guards, running around. I mean, I guess if they're 5 stars, that could work potentially, but they're definitely in the market. And what they've been doing up until this rule, they've actually been reaching out to 2021 kids. They actually are trying to get a kid to reclassify, see if he's interested in doing that. Efton Reed is a huge Louisville target, and he actually got reached out to by Kentucky for this year, not next year. So that's something that you'll see as the ACT and SAT. I think we said in the last podcast that's not going to be mandatory by the NCAA. So the reclassifying may be an option for Kentucky as well. As far as Louisville goes, they're still looking for someone in the front court to fill that last scholarship. I think they're probably going to sit back and just watch and see if anyone does come available that that'd be worth reaching out to. I don't think they're in too much of a hurry. I think all the way up until like June, you could probably see guys continue to enter the transfer portal. So Louisville's probably going to take a sit back and wait approach to that.
Hey, Shay, how many players does Kentucky even have on their roster right now? Like 5?
That I don't know, but what I do know is they have one player
left. Yes?
Yeah, they have one player that played any basketball last season coming back.
So it's really not about the height range because they only have a few players. I mean,
that's true.
They got work,
that's fair.
Right? So, I mean, who did they get in their recruiting right now?
I mean,
go ahead, Ty.
They got a bunch of, like Connor said, 6'4" to 6'6", point guard, shooting guard, small forward type people. And they picked up a graduate transfer from Creighton, who's another guard, and then they picked up Obi Toppin's brother, who's probably going to be immediately eligible now, but he only averaged like 3 points last year. So again, I'm the homer, so don't take this with a grain of salt, but I think the preseason hype train may be coming to a screeching halt this year for Kentucky unless something happens in the next couple of months.
Well, let's step outside of our homer shoes for just a minute and kind of talk about this Matt Harms decision. So if you're Matt Harms and you're coming out of Purdue for one more school year and you come out and say, I want to be developed so that I can go play in the NBA, and you come down to Kentucky, Texas Tech, and BYU, which school would you go to?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a no-brainer. You go to Kentucky, they've put, how many draft picks it's been. I've lost count. But the thing that I don't know if he would have been a great fit for Calipari's system. I think he wants to be an outside big, which, I mean, when you're 7'3", that's not, I don't think, the most logical decision. But I think BYU is more of a run and gun, like 3-point shooting team, which is what he wants to do. And I just don't know kind of – I haven't really gotten much word on, when the tables turned there, because Kentucky was considered to be, I think there was actually some reports that he committed to Kentucky the day before and they were just waiting on him to make it public. And I kind of want to know kind of what's the background there. There's got to be more to it than the surface.
Yeah, definitely. And no, I'd heard things, and I don't know, you kind of take it with a grain of salt when you hear things like this. People are saying, oh, he's a shy guy, maybe he wouldn't do so well under the microscope at Kentucky. But you don't think, though, if he came out and said, I want to be in the NBA next year that, you kind of take maybe if say he is a shy guy, do you really let that, dictate your entire decision to go from Kentucky to Provo, Utah?
Is he
Yeah,
Mormon?
I mean,
Is he Mormon?
I have no idea. He's from like Sweden or something.
Does he
and
have I would like to know what his connections are out there to BYU.
I mean, there's just got to be more to it. And yeah, he gave this quote to, I believe it was ESPN. It was just like, I'm 23 years old. I've seen the college life, and Nike shoes don't mean a whole lot to me anymore. And I think that was a direct shot at Kentucky. And I don't know, Texas Tech's not Nike, so that had to have been, a shot at Kentucky there. So I don't know. It didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. I'm sure there's more to it, like I said.
Yeah, he sounds mad lame. He should probably go to BYU. Nike shoes don't mean a lot to me, huh?
No, I mean, I'm not making that up. That was
No, I'm not saying you are. I'm saying that's a lame quote. What does that even mean?
Here's the direct quote. I'm an older guy, 23. It's not even 1 year. It's 8 months. At this point in my career, I'm not worried about facilities and locker rooms and how many Nike shoes I'm getting. That stopped being important for me.
You know what it really comes down to, though? So, in all seriousness, Kentucky could drop the bag if they want to, but one thing Kentucky can't offer? Multiple wives.
And screeching silence. Shay, man.
Crickets, come on, guys. Help me out.
Oh, my gosh. Brutes. Anyway, moving right along. The Jordan documentary. Speaking of basketball and Nike shoes, well, Jordan brand now. What'd you guys think? Did you watch it? You're younger guys, right? So
I kind of want to hear from the old person's perspective on what they thought from it. So, Dave, we'll go with you first.
Well, I know I'm an old guy. I'm a little bit older than 23. But, I grew up on Jordan, and I also was 23, 24 when LeBron was around. When LeBron started making noise, I was probably 23, 2001. I was 23 years old, and Jordan – and when did LeBron come out, 2004? 2003? Well, I don't know.
Yep.
But my point is I've seen both of those players, and I think they're great. So I feel like there's this juxtaposition, right? There's not even juxtaposition because that means like side by side. There's this dichotomy, it's Jordan versus LeBron, and Jordan sucks because – he played with a bunch of white guys like Mark Eaton and Jeff Hornacek back in the day, and Bill Laimbeer, and he would never be able to do what he's doing in this era, right? So I've seen Jordan, and I know the players that Jordan played with. I've seen Hakeem Olajuwon. If you went and reached into 1997 and grabbed Hakeem Olajuwon by his head with your hands from ripping through the fabric of space and time and dropped him center court in 2020 or 2019 because 2020 sucks. And, and you groomed him to play in today's NBA. There's no doubt in my mind that Hakeem wouldn't be the same type of player that Greek Freak is. He was that type of ball handler back then, right? He would just have to shoot a little bit better. But Hakeem was an all-around freak, right? David Robinson was like that. I seen David Robinson for 73 freaking points, So it's not like they were playing against a bunch of Mark Eatons, the Man Mountain, So
no, I mean that's the thing, though. Is kind of the '90s was when the NBA really came what it is today. It was when they blew up. Everybody had superstars. And I don't think that. I mean, you can make the argument, I guess, for the Jerry West of the world, and Dr. Irving and things like that. But maybe who knows what their competition was like. But the '90s, I don't know if that argument holds up. People say the '90s was even tougher than it is today. Things were more physical back then.
Right, you couldn't hand check back then. There was a lot more flagrant. You weren't getting thrown out for flagrant fouls. It was the bad boy era. The Detroit Pistons, they used to beat the hell out of Chicago. Scottie Pippen would quit during Game 6 because he had a migraine and missed games. You know what I mean? They would beat you down. So it's a different league. It's more spaced out. It's more wide open. But for every player that was kind of like overrated back then, you have a Tobias Harris on the Sixers right now who's overrated. You've got Ben Simmons back then would have been a center. He'd have been a power forward. He'd have been freaking Tom Chambers. You know what I mean? So I feel like, to me, when I watched the Jordan documentary, I saw a lot. I had some nostalgia. You know, I've seen a lot of the great players from that era that I had forgotten about. You know, I forgot about the guys like Clyde Drexler and players like that would definitely be good players today. But I think when I watched the documentary, I felt like it was well done. A lot of the New York Times types, you know, the coastal elites such as myself, the cynics, the big knock on it was that Jordan had too much say over it. He had too much control over it. It wasn't as objective as it should have been.
Well, let me get into that a little bit, just because, you know, my earliest memory of basketball was the late 90s and seeing Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen, and they were the two coolest guys in the world. But, you know, now it's kind of coming to light as things have gone on. And, you know, thank God there wasn't social media back then, I guess. But, you know, people are saying, you know, maybe Michael Jordan isn't the greatest guy. So can you tell us a little bit more about that? Just because, I mean, we weren't really around there, you know, at least knowledgeable back then.
Well, look, man, first and foremost, before I even get into this, I want to say other people get caught up in what type of person these athletes are and the emotions. And, you know, during the draft last night, I swear to God, if I had to take a shot every time someone said emotions, I would be dead right now. I could care less about how somebody is off the court. I don't care that my free safety moves pounds of freaking weed from Ohio to Little Rock, Arkansas. I don't care. Does he have ball skills? Can he high point? Can he run the alley? Can he hit? I'm not. If I wanted character dudes, I'd go get a bunch of people out of church and put them.
So where are these objective comments coming from and saying that MJ had too much control?
Because they wanted to hear that stuff, right? So there's a big conspiracy theory that Jordan quit basketball not because his father died, but because he had so many gambling debts that like his family was in jeopardy, right? Like he was gambling more than he was actually making and losing them on the golf course and stuff, and he had committed some things that the NBA frowned upon at the time, so they kind of gave him a hiatus, if you will. There's a whole bunch of stuff about Jordan, right? He had noted gambling problems. He wasn't the nicest guy. Neither was Barry Bonds. You just called Aaron Rodgers an asshole. Who cares? You know what I mean? When the lights are on, can you fill the basket? Can you throw the ball downfield? Can you hit the quarterback from the blind side and knock him out of the game? That's all that matters, what happens between the lines to me. You know what I'm saying? I'll let the Courier Journal and those people do interviews with people while they're cooking in the kitchen and eating peach cobbler. To me, that's lame and boring. I don't care. Do you produce on the field? I'm a Yankee. I'm a money dude. Do you get money?
Let me break it down for you.
You know what I mean? Get people to sign up for my website. You know what I mean? By whatever means necessary. If you got to throw a graphic up there about Bruce Armstrong getting drafted in the first round back in 1987, cool. If it works, I don't care. I want my money. So I don't really get the whole like we don't like him because we're the old media stuff, but we wanted look. The world shut down. Okay, we're all in our freaking house, bored out of our mind. Ooh, there's something about Jordan on here. It's juicy. He's calling Jerry Krause a little fat man with like,
yeah.
I want to watch that. That's fine by me. I don't care whose slant it is. Listen, New York Times, you were around in 1990s. Why didn't you do your own investigative documentary on him? You were around. You had the resources. You didn't. So shut up. I'm trying to have a good time. I don't care what you have to say on this. I thought it was well put together. I thought the angle of it was very precise. Although I wish it would have started back in the beginning rather than the end, but I get it. Focusing on, there was some drama there.
The Last Dance, yeah.
But what the New York Times people wanted it to be was, this is the last dance. Let's show Jordan's problems here, not just, it's blaming on Scottie Pippen.
Right.
Jerry Krause. I'm sure Jordan contributed to the downfall of this too. Why is Jerry Krause all of a sudden saying we got to blow this up? There had to be some reason why he was doing that. And that's what the New York Times and these people were getting at. And I get that, but look, man, I still thought it was a well-done documentary and I enjoyed it. So what are your thoughts on it?
Ty, the youngster, I want to hear, were you finally convinced that MJ is in fact better than LeBron James?
So let me start off. I'm going to double down with what Dave said about the off the court. Like Tiger Woods, he's another perfect example of I don't care what he did off the golf course. He's on the course. He's the most competitive, the most dominant golfer of all time. I don't care what he did off the court. As far as the documentary, to me, I never saw Jordan play a game. So I don't think it was fair for me to say he's better than LeBron when I've seen LeBron play. I've never seen Jordan play. But what I can say after the documentary is I think Jordan from from the will to win standpoint, from the standpoint of, I will do whatever it takes to win. I earned a ton of respect for him. I didn't really know a whole lot about. I never saw him play, so I don't really have any experience to go off of. So for me as a youngster, I really enjoyed it. I wasn't even that big of a LeBron guy, and I will probably would say I like.
He's more of a Tiger Woods guy. See how he shifted the conversation to golf.
Yes.
Look, you're ducking the question, man.
No, David.
The question our terrible traffic cop asked when he told both intersections to go and hit each other was, is LeBron better than Jordan in your opinion after watching the Jordan documentary?
If you would just let me say this, I was agreeing.
We're running low. We're running out on time here.
I was agreeing with you. I was saying Tiger Woods is another example of a guy who had questionable off the course issues, but I don't care about those. Just like I don't care about the off the court issues of Jordan.
But is he better than LeBron?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think my opinion's valid because I've never seen Jordan play. But I would think that.
Floyd Mayweather ducked it. All right, good defense. Ty, how old are you, Ty? Are you 23? Did you show me your fingers? Are you 2 years old? Or I asked Ty. So those of you listening to the podcast, I say, Ty, how old are you? 23. To which his response is holding up two fingers like a peace sign, like a 2-year-old child. I'm this many. So Ty is 22. So he's not a grown man yet, like Matt Harms. He's still carrying his life shoes. So. Okay, so Ty has spoken for the 22-year-olds out there, and your opinion is invalid, and I agree with him. You agree with me? I agree with you. If you're 22, you have no take on Jordan. Shut up. Connor Fitzpatrick Shea.
Yes.
Irish name of all time. How old are you? And and if people are listening to the pod, so you're going to have to vocalize the number that you are, not just hold up fingers. How old are you?
I am 26. So like I said, my very earliest memory of basketball was Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen.
Okay. So you watched the documentary. You saw Michael Jordan playing for North Carolina, run down the court, block a shot, and cut his head on the freaking backboard. Okay. So a lot of the arguments are, Michael Jordan wasn't some idiots are actually saying Michael Jordan wasn't as athletic as these people today because every generation gets bigger, stronger, faster, right? So was Michael Jordan back then bigger, stronger, faster than everybody else to the extent that he could excel in today's NBA?
He definitely could excel in today's NBA. I mean, he's obviously a freak. You just watch the game film and he's amazing. But yeah, I mean, I hate those comparisons though, just comparing because the game changes every, 5-7 years. It's completely different. Now you can't even hand check people where in the 90s he was just getting roughed up all the time.
Imagine if you couldn't hand check Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
that's right. The thing. You talk about great two-way players, right? Like Kawhi Leonard. You say Kawhi Leonard is the best two-way player in the NBA, okay? But Jordan was way more athletic than Kawhi Leonard is right now, or Kawhi Leonard was, 2-3 years ago when he's a little bit younger, right? So imagine Michael Jordan in today's NBA as compared to Kawhi Leonard, who just single-handedly won the NBA championship 2 years, the last full season we had. You don't think Michael Jordan is doing what Kawhi Leonard is doing right now?
Right. But you know what actually settles the argument, though, and this is what it boils down to, is which Space Jam was better?
The first one, the only one.
Obviously. So MJ is the greatest basketball player of all times. There you go. We have it. All right, everybody, do you have anything else you want to mention?
Let's get out of here, man.
Yeah, Ty, give us the plug on the promo. We got a couple days left on that. What's the deal?
Yep. So 6 days left all the way to the end of April. If you sign up enter the promo code TheVille2020. You will get free access all the way up until August. So that will give you access to Dave's recruiting information. I have some basketball stuff up there. I just had an interview with Debo Coleman, an interview with L. Ellis. So all of that on the premium recruiting board will give you access if you enter the promo code TheVille2020. We've had a number of people already take advantage. So don't miss out and sign up while you can.
Ty, where can people find your stuff?
Yeah, go to at Ty Spalding, and then also follow our website, Twitter, at U of L Rivals. A lot of stuff will be pushed out from there, so be sure to follow that as well.
Very nice. Dave, where are you at?
At Rivals Dave.
All right, and I am at Curly Shay. Thanks, guys, once again for joining us. Please be on the boards. We look forward to seeing you soon.